Hi everybody, I'm Taz Thornton and I want to talk to you about online bullies. Now, I've shared a few things about this lately. Some of you will have seen me share a video on my Facebook page from Grant Cardone earlier this week talking about it. And what's really rattled my cage today is a really, really lovely lady, one of my clients who does her best to help and serve other people and never does anything other than the loveliest of things, has just got a load of abuse in a direct message on, of all places, LinkedIn. So I want to talk to you about some of my experiences of online bullying, because believe me, I've had a lot of people throwing shit my way over the past few years, particularly since my popularity has grown, my audience has grown, since more people have decided to believe that I have more success than them, whatever that means to you. I've started getting a lot of crap. Now, something I've learned, and this is, I'm not the first person to say this, something I've learned is that it's very, very, very rare for any of these faceless, soulless haters to have achieved more than me, to have done more than me, or to have gathered more success than me. Again, whatever that means for you. And here's another thing I've realized: they all paint all kinds of ridiculous stories in their head. There are a lot of people out there who hate Taz Thornton, who assume that I live in a big 7-bedroom mansion and I've got 3 private jets and a helicopter and I drive a Ferrari. I live in Lincolnshire in a 3-bedroom house and I drive a Mini. For goodness sake, stop filling in the gaps. If you see someone online that you perceive is more successful than you, it just means they're putting themselves out there more. I'm a big believer in keeping it real. I won't play the happy clappy game. I won't play fake book and Instagram. If I'm having a crap day, I will tell people I'm having a crap day, and I will use that to help, to support, to inspire, to motivate others. I'll say, hey, I woke up in a bad mood today. I woke up feeling grumpy. I feel really down at the moment. These are the steps I'm going to be taking to help myself feel better. You could do the same. This morning, you know, I'm still on a bit of a downer after COVID. It's left me feeling a bit under par. This morning I got up, I went outside, I did some spirit work, I did some medicine work, I did the dance of the directions that we do on the medicine path. I set my intentions. The intention I set this morning was so simple. Any of you could do it. The intention I set was this: whenever today, just for today, whenever I start to feel myself feeling a little bit down, a little bit niggled, a little bit irked, a little bit grumpy, I'm going to recognize it. I'm going to pause and I'm going to smile. And that's worked. It's enabled me to just shift my mood a little bit. So why are so many of you out there, when you're feeling in a less than positive place, why are you seeking out people on the great big interweb who you perceive are doing better than you and flinging your crap all over them? You know, something that Grant said in that video that I shared earlier in the week, and I thought it was brilliant. We've got to be aware that when we throw shit upwards at the people who are a few steps above us, that's only got one way to go. If you throw shit upwards at someone, that's only going to come straight back down and hit you in the face. So to all the people throwing hate out there, I want you to just stop and recognize, what are you doing? And why are you doing it? And how would you feel if it was being done to you? And let me just get you to think about something else as well. When you're putting stuff out like this all over the place, I want you to think for a moment and ask, what is my intention? What do I want the outcome of this to be? When I'm throwing shade at somebody else, probably somebody that I don't even know, that I've never even met, if I'm throwing shade at someone for no good reason, what do I want the outcome to be? So the lady who sent some really nasty messages to one of my lovely clients today, what did you want to achieve with that? You're not even connected to her. You're a third connection. You don't know anything about her. You've seen one of your contacts has probably commented on her post. You've looked at it at a glance. You've made some massive assumptions, which are way out of line. Let me tell you this as well. That old rule, to assume makes an ass out of you and me. You've made some massive assumptions and you've made yourself look really bloody stupid. So let's just stop. If you are unhappy with your lot in life, stop flinging that out at other people. If you're unhappy with your lot in life, then do something to change your life. Something positive. If you think that my grass is greener than your grass, it probably is. Do you know why? because I've watered my grass more than you have. I didn't come from anything. I didn't get born into money. I didn't have, opportunities showering down at me from other people. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. Every opportunity I've had in life, I've created myself. There are people out there who have far more than me, who've created even bigger opportunities. And I look to them and I don't get jealous. I don't let envy take over. I don't see somebody in a flash car and start calling them all kinds of expletives. I think, wow, good on you. Have you done that? Because if you see somebody else of a similar shape and size to you, and by that I mean another human being, if you see another human being who appears to have more than you, do you know what that is? It's an indicator that it's possible for you, because if somebody else has achieved it, you can achieve it as well. So stop flowing the hate everywhere. Let's have a little bit more positive mental gratitude. Instead of throwing hate everywhere, instead of throwing your shade all over the place, just stop and look at your life. What is triggering you? And that's your issue, by the way. It's your issue. If you are triggered, it's an indication that you have something to work on inside you. So instead of saying, oh, you triggered me, look within and go, okay, what do I need to work on? Own that shit as well. You've got to stop. If you find that your life is not a happy place, if you find that other people's actions who've got nothing to do with you are triggering you, then sit for a moment and go, that's interesting. Why is that hitting me in the feels? And what do I need to do to feel better? And maybe if you see someone who's a few steps ahead of you, if you want, ask them, how did you do it? I'm really not feeling good about myself. How did you get to where you are? Or if they're too big for that, read their books, follow their content, read their articles, look for clues. We have clues everywhere. Now, one more little rant point before I disappear. And I hope this is a useful rant, by the way. I really, really do. I think, particularly during the pandemic, when we all have so many fears and frustrations and all kinds of unknowns flying around, my goodness, this has been the most challenging 2 years for most of us that we've ever been through in terms of what's going on in the world. I want to just draw attention to the amount people have been venting their spleen online, and this idea that it's okay to have an opinion about someone we've never met, we don't know, and we've only seen media coverage about it. So let's talk about Farthing. I've seen all kinds of shade being thrown at Farthing, the guy who brought the animals back from Afghan. All these people living in this mindset of or rather than and. That's something we need to work on. We don't live in an or world. We live in an and world. Now, as the story goes, when Farthing was first working to get that plane chartered to come over here, he was going to bring about 200 animals over in the hold, and then there was space for 200 people as well. And when it got to that point, the rules were changed as people were waiting to get onto that plane, and they wouldn't let people on the plane. And as the story goes, he had a choice. And even his team were saying that he could either get on the plane with the animals and go, or he could stay there and none of them would get out. The Taliban had already shot some of his animals before we took off. So why were all these people who hadn't read the full story calling him out and saying how awful it was that he'd chosen animals other than people? If you can charter a plane for 200 animals, you can charter a plane for 200 people. He did. You dickheads, get your facts right before you start throwing shade everywhere. And here's another thing. All these people going mad at Geronimo's owner, the poor old Alpaca, who was horribly put to sleep earlier this week after a 4-year-long wrangle over BTB tests. And all these people saying how awful it was that she didn't take that animal off and have it put to sleep in a more humane way. And none of you stopping to think that actually that was a pet and she didn't want it to be put to sleep. And why on earth would you, over draconian rules, go and have your animal put to sleep or have anything to do with your animal being killed if you didn't believe it needed to happen? So instead of throwing shade at her, how about you start throwing some shade and asking some real questions of the authorities who did that in the first place? We've got to stop it. It's one thing having to go at politicians who, frankly, put themselves into that position. It's another thing sticking our nose into other people's business. We see it over vaccines as well. Oh, you're an anti-vaxxer. Oh, you're pro-vaccine. How awful is that? When we throw shade at people we don't know, we know nothing about their lives, we know nothing about their decisions, we know nothing about why they've come to that choice, then frankly, we need to step the hell out and butt out of it. Stop thinking it's okay to have a hateful opinion about somebody you don't know, you've never met, you've never walked a mile in their moccasins. Start looking at your own life before you poke your nose into somebody else's. In fact, maybe that's what's going on. Maybe, haters of the world, you are spending so much time raining hate down on people you've never met and are probably never going to meet, because it means you don't have to look at your own life and your own shortcomings. If you want a better life, make it happen. God knows I'll help you do it. There are loads of people who would support you to do it, but get out of this awful, awful, awful mindset of thinking it's okay to sit in your place of judgment and be a keyboard warrior towards people who do not deserve it, that you know nothing about. Just calm it down. Start having a bit more kindness in the world, because I bet you guys will be the first people to start going on a massive kindness campaign if some of the people that you keep bullying end up doing something awful like taking their lives. Just stop it. Stop it now. And if you're one of the person who's being a victim, I don't like that word, but if you're one of those people who is getting shade from people who know nothing about you, then take a step back, take a deep breath, take a leaf out of my book today. Every time something starts to rattle you, just smile, because you only start to draw that level of vitriol when you're doing something right and you're moving in the right direction, and your perceived success is highlighting to other people what they are not doing. Keep walking, guys. Keep putting one step in front of the other. Keep shining your light. Shine brighter. Blind them all. You keep doing your stuff. You keep making a positive mark on the world. And if all of those haters want to sit in their little swamps of despair and, oh, my life is horrible, if they want to sit there throwing shade your way, that's okay. You don't need to catch it. Lots of love.